Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you some more casts of some pro gamer ladder matches. Have an absolutely awesome game here today, or matchup at least. Haven't seen the game yet, but this one is going to be Light in the top left, going up against Queen here in the bottom right of Retro. So, I mean, you probably already know who these guys are, but with Flash in the military, Light is the #1 Terran in the world. Now, I know that some people, when I say this, they're like, well, what about JYJ, or what about Royal, or what about Rush? Yeah, they're all great. I don't think literally even one of them thinks that they're better than Light. Everyone is kind of aware that Light is the strongest of the Terran players. He definitely has a level of understanding that the other pro gamers lack. And not just that, to mention, like, winning ASL is big, and it definitely gives you you know, a lot of prestige and some sort of claim to being the strongest, but there's a lot of volatility in it, and oftentimes stronger players get knocked out earlier. You know, like for instance, Flash didn't win every single ASL. Was he ever not the strongest player? Probably not. Probably not, right? So anyways, Light is the best Terran out there, and of course his opponent Queen here in the bottom right, 2-time ASL champion. I think you basically have to give him second most accomplished ASL player to Flash. Both of them in good shape right now. Should be a good match. They're spawning cross spawns here. I wasn't really reading what they were talking about, but I did notice they were talking about their Pro League matches. I wasn't really reading it, but yeah, there's a lot of Pro League matches that happen. Maybe they were talking about those happening later on that night or something like that. Either way, yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. You know, Retro can give us some great games, and with them spawned so far apart, it's hard to imagine anyone getting a huge advantage in the early game. There's not a lot of like rushing plays that can really be done. But yeah, it looks like we're going to have a factory opening here from Light, sending his SCV down right now. The drone going for a scout here for Queen. Of course, he has his hatchery first play into his spawning pool and extractor. I got to take this moment real quick to ask you guys, please subscribe, leave a little comment, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate all the activity you guys have been doing lately in the videos. Honestly, it really does help. The views have been going up, the subscribers have been going up, so thank you very much for making these videos more findable for everybody. The bigger Brood War is, the better, right? This is the best game. Let's stop pretending that it's anything else. Well, I guess I'm preaching to the choir, people who are watching these casts, but really, truly, Brood War forever. Now, taking a look, a lot of gas being mined. I think we're going to see a 2-starport Wraith opener, but it's cross spawn, so that is going to be some travel distance. It's going to be a little bit annoying for Light to have to go through. The drone going up for a scout towards that top left position. The Marine probably will be able to make it so it can't quite get up. But yeah, this is definitely going to be a 2-starport Wraith. Now, 2-starport Wraith actually has turned into a pretty darn viable build. For a long time, it was kind of this cheesy thing that really only Leda would do, right? It's not that popular, kind of weird. Oh my god, the drone actually got up. I wasn't really paying attention. I just assumed he would block that, but that's a huge scout. And do you keep on going? Yeah, I guess he's going to keep going with it, deciding canceling would make his build too weak. But yeah, more recently, like literally just in the last few months, 2-port Wraith has turned into a build that a lot of people are doing to open into macro play. You know, from ASL Season 15 right through the present, that has been the case. So kind of interesting to see Light doing it. Definitely not someone I see do it in tournament matches very much, but maybe he's practicing it now on the ladder to be able to bust it out a little bit later. Both starports do finish up, and yeah, I should get those Wraiths going immediately. Now, the 2-port Wraith, it basically, like, because of the cloak, because of the strong micro, you know, it feels like you should be going for the Hydralisk Den. And that is what Queen is doing here. He's getting Hydralisk speed, getting ready right now to try to defend against these as they come in. We don't see any Spire. Now, Mutas can beat the Wraiths, but you're using a lot of tactical moves with the Wraiths, like making sure that Overlords are staying back. Overlords are not the same speed as Wraiths or Mutalisks. So even if you get that speed upgrade, it can be a little bit tough to keep the Overlords around, and the Wraiths can simply outrun that detection once they see it coming. So yeah, it's a bit tricky. And then Terran can pretty easily go from the Wraith opener into a command center. Well, I say pretty easily. It's honestly one of the harder builds to do. But they can go into a command center and go ahead and get a lot of Marines as well. And we've seen, you know, I've casted a lot of games like this on the channel. And sometimes they will go one base, sometimes they will go for that expansion. Either way, right now we have those Wraiths starting their harassment a little bit. Already getting one kill, and you can see the very nice micro with Hydras sitting here attacking them. Already 2 drones end up going down. That one gets very low, but the double Hydra are going to be able to force back these Wraiths, taking a bit more damage. There is a counterattack coming up. Only 1 Marine in the bunker, but it's very hard to break through this because SCVs take 12 hits from Hydras to die. So the SCVs themselves are basically invincible against such small groups of Hydralisks. But yeah, they're going to go ahead and turn around, start to go home. Back at home, we have the range upgrade going, as well as that Overlord speed almost done. Evolution Chamber, as well as an additional macro hatchery on the way. And, you know, Light is continuing to get a lot of kills. Look at that. He's got 4 or 5 kills right now, including a Hydralisk in there. The rest of the Hydras have come home, so maybe going to split those off into multiple lines. Looking back at Light Space, he is going for Cloak, and he is actually going for an add-on here on his factory. So that probably means that we're going to end up seeing Siege Tanks, maybe like a Marine Medic Siege Tank Wraith composition. That's my best guess right now as to what Light is going to go for ultimately. And of course, it could at some point even revert into a more common like SK Terran style as he runs out of these tech units. I don't know how many more he's really going to make. Note that he has 5 will one-shot a drone. So that's kind of the thought process there, right? If they do all shoot at once there, you're going to be totally fine. And as you can see, he can do that pretty darn well. Woo! And, well, right there, he actually didn't quite target. There you go, though. Getting quite a few more, and you can see the amount of damage coming out. Now, picking off even 1 in a situation like this is huge, because now you're going to have to take more than 1 volley. You're going to be able to kill basically half as many, because you can't really split the volleys that are occurring out of a stacked group of Wraiths. Ooh, doesn't quite get that Overlord, so some pretty solid defense. The Spore's doing a good job. The Hydra's doing a relatively good job here as well. Command Center coming up for Light. And the Lurker upgrade here for Queen, as well as a Carapace upgrade. I like the Carapace upgrade a lot, by the way. This is something that we learned about like very long ago, before people really knew how to play Zerg vs Terran. At the very beginning of the game, the thought process was, well, if you want to go Hydras against Terran, you really need to get Carapace upgrades quickly, because Terran has medics, and you know that you need the Carapace upgrades so the Hydralisks can sustain Marine attacks longer to be able to deal their damage. Now, that didn't really hold up to the test of time, but it does make sense to get Carapace here. The +1 to the explosive attack doesn't really do anything against the Marines. You know, it would do better against like mass siege tanks, or, you know, if you're just trying to power down bunkers perhaps, but that's not really a thing. So yeah, I do like the Carapace upgrades. Queen's Nest is on the way, as well as this 3rd base from Queen over at Light's base. Siege tanks being made. Double bunker is up, so he can't really attack into that. That's very hard to kill, even though the Hydras can kill bunkers relatively quickly. The Wraith's going to go back out now that they have been repaired. Good 8 kills on the remaining Wraiths. And, of course, a Vulture out here as well. Just trying to, you know, scout what's going on. Maybe catch a drone, that type of thing. Brings in the Wraiths, and we'll be able to get that kill. Oh, I love to see it. Still getting some harassment here from these Wraiths. Gonna go ahead, kill off that Overlord. And with the Hydras coming home, he does have to be careful here. You don't want to be losing these Wraiths. You know, they're not super useful right now, but they still can do some scouting, still can do some harassment as well. Queen has to be highly annoyed at this point. Truly. +1 Carapace upgrade now done. So yeah, the Wraiths do like 7 damage now. So that's, yeah, you're going to need a lot. You're going to need like 7 Wraiths shooting at once, right? 7 times 7? Something like that. No, I'm 6. I'm sorry. Okay, anyways. Looking back here, oh man. It looks like he had started 2 barracks and then cancels them out for 2 factories. Wow. That's interesting. I had not expected this. And this I actually haven't seen. Okay, so let me mention something here. So there is an academy coming up. He does have 2 bunkers full of Marines. He has siege tanks and vessels. Okay, This is very bizarre. This is actually something that hasn't happened in any pro games yet. This might actually be Light trying something completely new, right? Like, Light is a bit of an innovator. Like, he's probably best at known strategies and everything. But, you know, it looks to me, and he has created new strats, by the way. The whole Valkyrie thing that came out, like the heavy Valkyrie play, he had optimized all those builds. But anyways, like, Wraith into mech is not really a thing. I'm very, very interested to see how this works out. He has repaired those Wraiths once again. They're going to go down across the map. I think at this point, they're mostly just doing scouting, trying to figure out exactly what is going on. But yeah, this is such a weird situation. We have Vulture Speed on the way, second add-on, so he'll probably get mines going as well and pump out a bunch of Vultures. But here's the thing, right? If a Spire goes up, there's like very little anti-air. I think that might be why he's gone for this, because like if there was a Spire and then you realize what's going on, well, Scourge will kill the vessels very easily, and you could easily switch into Mutalisks to kill this army off. But Light has had a lot of scouting, so he's seen that there's no Spire. He's seen that that's something that Queen has simply skipped here, and so maybe he feels like, you know what, this is a great opportunity for mech. But I'm still kind of blown away to even see Light attempting this right now. It's very, very cool though. Getting a lot of siege tanks. Now, don't forget, he's on 2 bases, so you're not going to be able to refill your mech army easily. The spies are getting pretty darn even, which is scary. You know, that's when you think that Zerg starts getting quite strong indeed. Now, he is starting to move down. Some Vultures come down. He siege up some tanks. So this is the first moment where Queen knows what's going on. Right now, he should look at this and say, okay, I'm playing against mech. That's a bit weird, but okay, let's do it. The Marines come over, probably just going to try to help defend this base, maybe lay some mines down here, possibly even some siege tanks. But if Light just sits back in his base, I feel like this game might not go towards him, right? If you're only defending, it's hard for mech to play like that against Zerg, because Zerg is going to be able to take a lot of the map and have a lot of different tools at their disposal. You know, you don't have like this opportunity to just clearly outscale Zerg like you would against, like, if a Protoss was on 3 bases, now you'd be like, yeah, that's fine. We take a 3rd base and we macro up, because you're not going to scale well as the Protoss player on only 3 bases. Zerg, on the other hand, here, it's like, okay, well, I mean, he's got all of his tech basically ready. Ooh, good pick off there on the vessel. Throwing down some irradiates as well. But yeah, you know, at this point, I think that Queen can start just expanding a little bit more. Now, Light actually goes around. He leaves just a small group of units up there, bringing some tanks out onto the map, bringing out some Vultures as well, but Queen has a lot of Hydras. Now, there are some mines there, so you just have to watch out for those. Ooh, just barely gets rid of all of them. Comes forward, gets a Defiler there. I heard the Defiler death sound, and now going after this this other Defiler as well. Ooh, mine gets dragged into those tanks a little bit. Looks like Queen going to push forward on top of this army, and he should be able to knock this out pretty easily. So that was a little bit of a lackluster attack there from Light. Again, I think he is kind of experimenting in this game. This is not really a strategy that we've ever seen. But definitely that attack timing not working out for him. Seems like Queen's defense has been good enough. He didn't get to break this base, so that is one thing for Light. But the 4th base coming up. Now, is Light going to be able to make another attack like that that's going to do a bit better? Well, it's a little bit hard to refill your army, right? He lost, like, what was that? 5 tanks? 6 tanks? A little bit tough. Oh my god, 10 queens on the way. 10 queens. So this is one of the biggest counters to mech. I've casted a few games like this recently. I've played a few games like this recently. And people have been asking a lot, like, whoa, is this a real strat, or are they trolling? No. This is actually considered the strongest counter to mech, is to go for queens. They cost less than a tank, and Broodling pays for the Queen immediately, right? It does take a couple minutes after the Queen pops out to have the energy for a Broodling, but as soon as you get one Broodling off, it's been pretty darn useful. And if you get a second off, your cost efficiency starts to go through the roof. So this is one of the main reasons why we don't see mech as much. Mech can fight against everything else evenly or at an advantage, but the Queen itself kind of saves Zerg in this matchup. And there are some things people are trying to do to get some counters to that Queen play, but we haven't seen anything strong enough for mech to really be a big meta play. Now, Vultures come up, lay some good offensive mines. They're going to kill off quite a few units here, harassing this 4th base as well. And Light continuing to move forward here, utilizing those scans to knock down some of these lurkers, push them back at minimum, and he's going to go after that 4th base. I think that that's exactly the right type of move. Moves forward, though, with these siege tanks, and yeah, if he can eliminate those lurkers, that is fantastic. But the one thing I really want to see is him force a kill on this base, and not just a kill, but look at the amount of overlords that are being picked off right now. Definitely a very hard position for Queen. It's been a weird and wild game so far, but it seems like Light's ideas are starting to come together a little bit. It is not over, though, until we see these Broodlings come out, I think, right? Some of these are getting very close to Broodling energy. We have about 30 seconds, 40 seconds left on a few of those, and then he's going to have a lot of Broodlings. Now, it is 3 base versus 3 base, so at this point, I mean, if I'm Light, I'm like, I don't care what you have. You know, it's getting to be a very dark and difficult place for Queen here. But with those Queens, you know, if you eliminate every single siege tank, then, you know, your Hydraling Lurker probably will be able to break through all the Vultures, Goliaths, whatever else is left over. Now, a lot of mines going down as he pushes up, letting those Vultures tank all the shots from the Sunken. Actually, a nice mine drag there from Queen. Do we have the Queens ready from Queen, though? That's, well, a huge flank of Hydras comes in, and he is going to be able to knock down these siege tanks. The tanks being somewhat cost-efficient here. And, of course, the Vultures sneaking in and getting some kills as well. Very low as far as the worker count goes for Queen. But now he has a lot of Broodlings available. Okay, so that's 8, and he's going to have, like, another 9. So that's 17 mech units can go down. Okay, so that's 34 supply of mech can be knocked out, which means that we're going to have a big army for Queen comparatively. Here we go. Walks forward, starting to get a few. Okay, loses a Queen. It's not the end of the world to lose some of these Queens. Do remember, okay, and he's going to throw down a couple of parasites there to be able to watch those science vessels. But do remember that you're already more than paying for the Queen as soon as you get a Broodling off on a siege tank. So, like, you can lose some of these. But let's see if he can knock out enough siege tanks for his Hydralisk force to be able to break through everything else. Actually, a little bit messy there, bringing up more and more Hydras. Don't forget, right now Queen's on 3 base, so it feels like he's actually pretty all in at this point. Really has to get something done. Oh my god, it looks like we had like a sick Irradiate over there somewhere. Very damaged Queens right now, but a lot of energy on them as well. Comes in, doesn't quite get that Broodling off. Goes for another one. Okay, gets it. Doesn't quite get that one. The flank is huge, but can he actually get enough Broodlings off to make this worthwhile? Well, you know what? Honestly, he didn't even get that many Broodlings off. Has a lot more coming up, but does break Light's army in the center. Light right now pumping out Goliath tank for the most part, but we're getting down to these levels where it's like, hell, you could even just, you know, Broodling 6 of anything, like those 6 units, and you're still going to break through. Some targeting goes down from Light, so very nice targeting there. But is that going to end up being enough? Wow. Even with the mine drag there. Amazing moves here from Queen. And I think his Queens are going to end up being enough as the Hydras march into the natural base here of Light. Light with very little left over. He is mining quite a bit. He has a lot of SCVs. His economy is still strong compared to Queen's. But it doesn't matter if you're going to lose your main base. You're going to lose your natural expansion. And that is exactly what we're seeing. GG is called, and Queen wins with his named unit.